So we're here today with Heather Brace, who is an elementary school teacher, currently down in Florida, but also has taught in South Carolina and Illinois. And Heather specifically has focused her career with ESE and ESE classrooms and working with our kids with special needs. And most recently, I should say, over the last 6 years, with children with autism. So first of all, thank you, Heather, for all you do for our kids, because you are such an amazing teacher, and for all of our teachers of kids with special needs especially, it's such a challenging job, and we're so appreciative for you. So today we want to talk about IEP meetings. This is a huge stress for so many parents, and it can be scary for parents not knowing what to expect. And we know that we want to advocate for our kids, and we want to know that they're safe and that they're getting everything they need, but it's a really confusing process, and there's not a lot of help for parents to understand kind of what it even is. And I know, of course, I want to say for parents out there, it definitely does differ from state to state, and there's different laws, and things go differently even from school district to school district. But at least from your experience in the schools you've worked with in the states you've been in, first, for parents who are brand new to this, who maybe kids are just starting school or just brand new to the IEP process, can you, from your perspective, give a little bit on like what is an IEP and what's the purpose behind an IEP?
Absolutely. Well, an IEP is an individualized education plan, and in order to receive one of those, you would have had to have had some testing done. So you would have had a prior meeting, which is called an evaluation meeting, where a team of different specialties, so it would be like a ESE teacher, a school psychologist, occupational therapist possibly, depending on your child's needs, speech therapist, a regular education teacher, if there's some behaviors, or maybe a behavior specialist, they would all meet with that parent, and you would determine what testing would need to be done in order for your child to see if they're eligible to receive special education services. So once that meeting is over and they're eligible, you would have an IEP meeting. And what that is, especially if this is your first one, you might not know or have worked with that special education teacher yet, but you would have this big team. So it's kind of very intimidating. I can only imagine for a parent on their first time to come into a meeting, and there's 10, 12 people around the table. And especially if your child has struggled so hard, for me, just speaking for me, I really try to put myself in that parent's shoes of, their child has been struggling, and we're here to help that parent and help that child. So we need to make sure that we are being compassionate and understanding and empathetic. So, and I do know many, many teachers who feel the same way. But you're going to be coming in with a group of specialists. So that's your IEP team. And what I want to stress is that the parents are the most important member of the team. Without the parent, nothing can get done. So you have to know in your head when you're going in there that you are important, okay? Nothing is going to get done if you say no. So to work with the team, be open-minded. You might hear some things that your child is struggling with, and it might be hard to hear, but know that that team is there for you and for your child, and that they want to help your child succeed. What will happen is that they'll go over some present levels of maybe how your child is doing, maybe where they started, if they started in August and then now they're maybe their progress, if they've already had goals. So you can kind of see the data and the progress that your child has made. If it's your first IEP, that would be where they would go over goals for your child. And goals are individualized. They're custom for your child in whatever areas they need. It could be academic for reading, writing, math. It could be also include speech therapy for articulation, language, and then also social emotional, more behavior type goals, calming down, and then independent functioning. So you know, it really depends on what your child needs, but they look at the whole child. It's not just academic. It's, you know, a lot of the most important goals are those social, emotional, and independent goals, especially for students with autism. And language, speech language for sure too. But just know that parents, you have a voice. There's nothing that you can't ask. You know, you also have the right to, I've been in many meetings where parents don't know what to ask and they don't understand the process. So they have an advocate come with them who is someone that you would hire who knows the process, and they will kind of be your voice for you if you don't know what to ask. So
as a parent, you have to be allowed to bring an advocate in if you
yes,
choose to.
Yes, you have every right to. You will never be told you can't. And some parents, and I've had some that bring them in and some that don't. I mean, it depends, but you always have that right. If you feel like you don't understand what's going on, especially at the beginning of the process, it's very confusing. All these abbreviations and, you know, make sure that if the teacher is talking and you don't understand something, you say, wait, hold on, what does that mean? Don't feel like you can't tell them you don't understand something. It's very important for you to understand this process and what they're saying so that you can be an advocate for your child.
I think that's important for parents to know, because I think a lot of times we just think, we don't realize, I know we didn't realize in the beginning when you first go, that you think you're just going so they can tell you what's
right
going on. But you don't realize that you can ask questions, or you can ask for things, or
right.
You know, be involved in the decisions, that you are a part of that team. You're not just there to receive all the information, but you can be a part of that team.
Absolutely. You are the team. You are the most important part, for sure.
So for a parent who, you know, we've had the first one and we're kind of they've made the goals, and you know, they're in school and we're kind of going back for follow-up meetings. And to another point, so parents can request meetings, correct?
Absolutely.
Whenever.
Absolutely. So once they have their initial evaluation, you know, the IEP is written, and typically IEPs are reviewed every year. A parent can call an IEP meeting or, you know, a conference IEP meeting at any time. You do not have to wait for that whole year. I mean, there's times where I have, as a teacher, said we need to meet sooner because goals might have been too easy or too hard and we need to adjust them, or if there's any behavior concerns or concerns from the parent that we, you know, having open communication. So you do not have to wait that year for that IEP review. Typically though, like just in general, because you want to see how much they progress in a year, but if there are situations or concerns or things that come up, parents can request it at any time. And then every 3 years, a new reeval is done, and that's where you meet again to decide if further testing is needed. And you can either consent or not consent. You decide as a team if that's something that would be beneficial.
So I think that's important for parents to understand, that it's a minimum of once a year, but they can request, if they feel like their child isn't progressing or they have a lot of questions or concerns, they can request it at any time.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. What do you think are the important things for a parent to make sure is included in the IEP, or to make sure that they understand or ask questions about? Like, what are the big pieces? I know there's a lot of, having sat through them, I know there's a lot of different components of it, and there's a lot of wording and there's a lot of sections.
Right.
But what are some of those, from a parent's perspective, important things that parents should make sure they look for or ask about?
Right. Well, an important thing for them to understand and be familiar with is the setting, the least restrictive environment. So that's decided as a team, but sometimes the parents really don't understand or know like what their child's educational day would look like. There are some where that child would be more regular education, you know, with some pull-out services. There are some students who are more self-contained, where they are primarily in an ESE special education classroom with a little bit of mainstreaming for lunch or fine arts. So to really understand, especially at first, what, I guess, the setting or situation that, you know, you to expect for your child. Another thing
So that
is,
should be included in the IEP of like how, because that's something that I hear parents talk about a lot when schools say that they're going to work to mainstream a
right.
child. You know, what does that mean? Or, you know, what can that look like, or what should be included in the IEP as far as being in a self-contained classroom versus mainstreaming being a child?
Well, and I know Florida is very different from other states. So, and it depends on your child's needs.
Sure.
You want to try to place them in a academic setting where they're going to be the most successful. So you kind of have to look at it if they are being mainstreamed for, let's just say, reading and math in a regular education classroom. As far as, you know, they're going to have to, you know, maybe with limited help, kind of get through all those grade level standards. You know, maybe it would be best for them to be more a self-contained classroom where they're still working on grade level standards, but it's a smaller setting. There's more teacher to student ratio. And then also, you know, a little bit more flexible of learning, working with those language skills and some of the social skills that some of our little kids with autism really struggle with. So to ask those questions of, okay, so what kind of setting are they in? Just so that you're not surprised, because sometimes, you know, meetings go quick, and you want to make sure that you know where your child, what kind of class that they're going to be in. Also, to make sure, you know, look at the accommodations. You know your child very well, and that the school at that point should know your child very well. So to make sure that they have everything that they need provided, modifications or accommodations that would help them be successful, whether it be extended time on certain tasks, frequent breaks, maybe they need a visual schedule, a special behavior plan. You know, and if you don't understand something that's said, that you ask.
That makes sense. So I want to talk more. I think we have to take a short break, and then we will come back to dig a little bit deeper into the IEP process and the different things that are included in the IEP.